Hello and welcome to Experience Fulton, the podcast. I'm Regina Waller, Division Manager, Communications and External Affairs for Fulton County. This podcast will not only provide you with information regarding the services and products that Fulton County has to offer, but we'll give you a close-up look into the department and the people who bring you those services. Hello and welcome to Experience Fulton, the podcast. With this podcast, we usually take you behind the scenes of the various departments and programs here in Fulton County. But we are going to take some time and celebrate what I like to call our most important resource, that is the humans, the part of human resources, the employees, hashtag Team Fulton as we call them. May 6, 2026, the Board of Commissioners met on that date, and they also recognized and celebrated the 2026 class for the CPM program, the Certified Public Managers Program. We're talking about 10 years of investment into the people who are going through that program. Let me give you a couple of facts about this. 300 comprehensive leadership development hours, and here in Fulton County, we have had, as of May 2026, 472 employees to go through this program. And we have with us today the Director of Human Resources Management, Mr. Ken Herman, who is leading the charge to make sure that we receive this leadership training. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Regina. You know, when you say 472, it amazes me that, we've been able to partner with UGA for that period of time and put so many employees through that very valuable training.
And also you work with the directors to help put the folks in this particular program. Why is it so important that we do make this investment into our employees, especially when it comes to leadership training?
Right, and I think that the biggest takeaway for us as a leader, because I've made sure that all of my staff has gone through the program, except probably about 2 individuals who are new to the department, is an investment in people, but then also trying to set the foundation for the legacy that you leave behind and the succession planning that we all have to do as department heads. And that's what we've been able to impart on department heads, that, hey, this is not 3 days that the employee will be away from work. They still have the responsibility to do their day-to-day responsibilities, but this is 3 days for them to learn, engage with other fellow managers and supervisors that in 9 times out of 10 they would have never had the opportunity to interact with, and come up with some very innovative capstone projects and implement some of them. So I think that's the value that we have. You see that team building exercise and then the investment in our future.
I had an opportunity to go through CPM a few years ago. In fact, I went through it during COVID, and you have mentioned a couple of the components that are part of CPM. Being away once a month for 3 days, University of Georgia, taking the classes and going through the workshops, but also the capstone projects. I wanted to ask you, how does this program help the participants differentiate between just being a manager versus becoming a leader in the public sector?
Well, we've seen it. So we've seen individuals' perspective on leadership at the lower levels and even at the senior levels change just by the mere fact that they've gone through the CPM training program, because they've learned new skill sets, they've learned how to cope with difficult employees. I think you guys do the DISC assessment, so you know whether you're a D, a I, or S, how to communicate across those various distinctions, and that makes them a better manager, because we know from an HR perspective, studies have said it 9 times out of 10 that employees leave organizations not because of the pay, not because of how long you have to drive, but it's really because of the relationship that they have with their managers. And if anything that we can do through the CPM training program to prepare that individual to be a better manager, to build trust with their employees and understanding and appreciation for what they have to do, but also hold them accountable when we need to hold them accountable. I think that's what the value of the CPM training program, and how we elevate our supervisors to be better supervisors and our managers to be better managers through that program.
I can honestly say that the program really helped me to become even more self-aware when it comes to working with team members, also leading for projects as well as with personnel. But with this program, it's not just about leadership within the organization. We see changes when people go through this program and they work with residents and customer service. I think that also improves, don't you?
Absolutely. We talked about just today some great capstone projects that cohort S and T went through, where they partnered with several senior service organizations and built a pantry for those individuals, and then also something at a school. And again, that's not necessarily in their role or day-to-day responsibilities, but that's them providing that outreach to the citizens of Fulton County or organizations within Fulton County, so that their impact has the ability to continue to live beyond their participation, them being in that respective organization.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. But we want to just also mention that I mentioned that on May 6th they received a proclamation and being recognized by the board. But after 9 months of this program, on May 14th, these students are going to graduate with their CPM credentials, and we just want to say congratulations to them. But we also want you to keep it tuned here right here to Experience Fulton, the podcast, because we're going to bring you a couple of the participants who've gone through the program.
And if I may, Regina, just also put it out there to the employees that are listening. If you're interested in this program, now is the time to start knocking on the door of your manager and your department head, because the application window is about to open. And you want to be able to sell yourself to your manager and department head that, hey, I'm the next best candidate to go put through for the CPM program, and here's why. And we look forward to those applicants, because, like I told the manager, we're not going to stop until we hit 1,000. So we have about 525 more employees to do.
Well, you guys heard it right here from the Director of Human Resources Management, Mr. Ken Herman. Knock on that door if you're interested in being part of the class of 2027. But keep it tuned in right here, and we'll bring you some more information about the CPM program. So we're talking about the Certified Public Managers Program, the CPM program, because the Board of Commissioners on May 6th had an opportunity to recognize the class of 2026 with a proclamation. And, in talking about this wonderful program, which has helped more than 400 Fulton County employees to grow their leadership skills, I had to bring on my classmate, my partner, when I went through the program, Marcel English, who is the Division Manager of Digital for External Affairs. In fact, she just handled all of our digital assets here in Fulton County. And Marcel, when we went through this program, it was a special time.
We actually started before COVID. We started in August of 2019. And then when COVID happened, we paused and really needed to, the program had to reassess of how they were going to move forward during these COVID times. There were months when we didn't even meet.
But we were virtual.
And then we finished up. The great thing, I think, about our cohort is that when we were in class at the same time, is that we really understood that leadership piece of what it meant to pivot. I think people they get confused when it becomes a manager and a leader. There's a difference. CPM teaches you how to be a leader. You can't.
Agreed.
It doesn't teach you how to be a manager. But I think during that time of COVID, we really understood as leaders how to really come in and pivot and move in a different direction.
I completely agree with that because it was more than just saying, oh, we are being flexible. We have to understand flexibility skills, because we had that, already there. But in working through during that time and throughout COVID, it was about, being able to adapt to the environment, and also making sure that we help the team members that we work with adapt through that environment as well, as we began to pick up those skills. So before we got into the program, I want to ask you, what would you have said may have been something that you did not have in your arsenal of leadership skills that you have after the program?
So when I started in the program, I was a digital communication specialist. Since then, I became a senior digital comm specialist. I was a digital supervisor, and then now the title that I have now, which is division manager. I think that the thing that CPM taught me that I didn't have was that aspect of, it's not just me, it's us. Yes. I am responsible for change, not only in myself, but I'm responsible for change on my division, I'm responsible for change in my department, and I'm responsible for change here at Fulton County. I think nothing beats that program. Every single time that we have somebody from our department or even from my division, I have been blessed that both of my individuals, both of my senior digital comm specialists have been through the program. I have a new young lady who just started who will definitely be going through the program in the years to come. But, understanding that I am more than responsible for more than just me.
Right.
Being a leader. I think that if somebody under my tutelage, big word, has to, is going out to find another job or they want to do something different, it's my responsibility to empower them here at Fulton County to want to do those things.
Yes.
And I think that's really one of the pieces that I got from CPM. Growing up, I was an only child, so it was all on me to do whatever it was. But through the program, I understood community, and I understood what my responsibility to community was.
And you mentioned that the people on your team have also gone through CPM. I've had an opportunity to have folks that I work with on my team as well to go through CPM. And I think it is important because I'm going to say it. I think sometimes that when managers/leaders are in roles that they will get a bad rap about some things. However, I think that once a team member goes through this program, they better understand the importance of being strategic and having strategic thinking, and also that it is not just about them. It is about the bigger picture.
Right. One of the things that I always tell people in our department as well as in my division when they go through CPM is become very self-aware. If you don't walk away from anything else from CPM, you should become very self-aware of who you are and where you sit in the audience of leadership. I think that's very important because I think before this program, a lot of people were like, oh, I want to do CPM. Everybody else has done CPM, but it's not an everybody else program. Everybody can't go.
Right.
I think that when they go through this program, it really shows them and they see it themselves of how they're transformed. That we have one young lady in our department, I'm not going to say her name, and when I remember when she came to Fulton County, she spoke up and she had her ideas, but after CPM, I saw it. And I saw that confidence, and I saw her being a leader on projects. She's not a manager, so that's why we can't confuse management with leadership. But she's not a manager, but the way she speaks and commands a room and gets everybody on board is a testament to CPM, because I saw it as she was going through the program, as how she's testing things out, and now, she is a beast now.
Yeah, but it's just I was gonna say she has turned into a butterfly, but you're right, she is a beast, and I see that as well, and and I've also had an opportunity to watch your most current employee that's going through it transform as well, and being able to speak out, and so. Come March 14th, you're going to get an opportunity to celebrate him, correct?
And it's such an awesome thing. One of the things in external affairs that we are so proud of is that we, over multiple years, have had presidents of CPM come through external affairs. And I think that also speaks to the leadership that we have in our department with Jessica Corbett. And I think that is super important. Because we have a leader who really empowers us and pours into us to do these things. In the very first CPM class was an external affairs president. Then a couple of years later, we had another one. When I called her, I was our president. And then, so it's just been a blessing. And what this program has been, Kenneth Herman, as well as our executive leadership here at Fulton County and our Board of Commissioners see the importance of what this program means to employees today, as well as the future for employees.
Well, Marcel English, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to reminisce with me as we go back over this program. And just keep it tuned here to Experience Fulton, the podcast, because you're going to hear from two participants coming up. Still here, Experience Fulton, the podcast. We are celebrating our class of 2026 CPM graduates who will graduate on May 14th. We've got a little bit of information from Director of Human Resources Management, Mr. Ken Herman, who told us about what all goes into CPM and being a part of that program. But we want to welcome here, we have two participants. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and just tell you where they work briefly here in Fulton County. So we're going to start with the president of Cohort T, correct? So go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Juliana Peterson-Ely, and I am the Executive District Attorney of the Special Victims Division in the Fulton County DA's office. So I oversee about 65 employees.
Big job, big job.
Yes, ma'am.
And as he has told me to say about him, this is a representative from Cohort S.
Yes, my name is Chris Avery. I'm the representative for Cohort S, and I work for External Affairs.
So Chris is part of the team that I work on as well, so I get an opportunity to work with him each day. But I've also had an opportunity to watch him throughout this process with CPM, and we'll talk about how he's juggled things over the last 9 months here in just a little bit. But I want to just jump right into it and just ask you all, the last 9 months, CPM program, once a month, 300 hours. Tell me, when you started this program, what did you feel might have been a gap in your leadership skills versus now that you finished the program?
Chris?
For me, and that's a great question, Regina. For me, it was just not really speaking up, and then not having the confidence to really go out and truly be a leader out here. And I had a great cohort who were really encouraging me, really pushing me to be a better version of myself and to take that risk and to go out. The old Chris would have never been on that stage today to talk about and just the project that we did for the Service Learning Project. And so now I can confidently say I'm a lot better. I can have my voice. I can now be more prepared and more relative to what I've become as a person. So that's the best thing I've learned so far being in the CPM. And like you said earlier, that you had a chance to really observe yourself and be kind of cognizant of what your abilities or strengths are. And this opportunity was the perfect thing for me to kind of see that. And so I think, of course, my manager and Jessica Corbett for really pushing out there, and Marceline is my manager, to really push me out there and to be able to apply for the program. Because at first I was a little hesitant. I'm like, okay, what is this about? But now I can say I've confidently got my wings and I'm ready to fly. So.
Wow, that's great to hear, and it's been just awesome just to watch you over the last few months. And he's right; he does speak up now, and not that he didn't before, but I see that happening more. So, what about with you?
I think for me, the gap that I saw was thinking so much more strategically about how to lead well, and I think sometimes we can be reactive a bit of, here's a situation we need to handle. And what I so appreciated walking in and really learning, I need to be thinking about what is my leadership style? Like how am I serving my people? And how can we really think about how we can proactively create answers before there are problems? So I really think that it was so incredibly helpful. Even my capstone project was so helpful to really start thinking strategically about what can I do to best equip my team so that they can serve in a really excellent way. And what I loved about CPM is that they so carefully were kind of stepping into that gap.
Yes.
And kind of month by month, week by week, they were really creating these building blocks for us to be thinking much more deeply about who we are as leaders and how we can better serve Fulton.
So who we are as leaders and how we can better serve. And going through this program, what would you all say would be the one word that you can describe yourself as now that you've gone through the program?
I would say thought-provoking.
Okay.
I think I would say thoughtful. I am really now walking into situations with a lot more intention, and I think that's pretty critical.
Yeah, that's very critical. As you mentioned, that sometimes we may have a tendency to be reactive instead of proactive, and I think that for me in going through the program, because sometimes I'm going to say it, managers, leaders get bad raps. And I don't think it's always the case that they should, especially, when there are certain situations that you have to deal with. And when you are a leader, you do have to be very thought-provoking or very thoughtful in the solutions that you do come up with, if I may say so myself. So in saying that, when you all began the program, as we mentioned, this is 300 hours of training. How in the world were you able to come up with the strategies to balance the, taking this class and making sure that you got your day-to-day done?
I think it just looked like flexibility. And a lot of understanding from my spouse, because there were some kind of late nights. There was some weekends that you just kind of had to get some stuff done. But I think it was a stretching process, but it was stretching in the best of ways. So yes, it was a lot, but it was absolutely worth it.
Chris?
And I agree, definitely. And the best part is having a great team. I had a really great team with Elisa helping me out with a lot of the website add-ons, and I had Sasha and I had the Deja, our interns, who were just really helpful and helping me with some of the other production side of it. So just being able to rely on them when before it was like, okay, I got this, but it's like, no, let me take a step back, let me focus on this, because it's, to me, is also important. But the work is going to come, and the work can be shared as long as you help them and give them direction. And I think that's what was really important when it's coming to just trying to balance everything out, is to delegate and then let others help you out and be receptive to that help. So that's the thing I had to learn the most.
Gotcha. And so we talk about strategy. You guys also, did the 360 disc, and where you understood a little bit more about yourself. You talk about conflict management. I'm saying we because I've been through the program and I know exactly what all goes into it. But everything, every session, every class, every opportunity to work with a classmate brought you to that capstone project. So tell us about your capstones and why did you think that it was important to put on the table to help solve whatever challenge you may have seen, in your area.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about the service learning project, the capstone, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things that we were really trying to figure out. For the longest time, we had a lot of great leaders and a lot of great ideas. And it's really hard when you have those to kind of harness the idea of okay, which one is going to be the case we did? And then luckily I had, one of the colleagues step up and said, let's do one of your ideas and let's kind of move forward with that. And then once the idea is now into motion, it's like, okay, now what we need to do for the planning, logistics, how we put that all together. And luckily we had a lot of meetings together where we just kind of talked about it weekly, where we just put in some ideas of hey, this is going to be what we're going to be doing for this week, or this is going to be doing for that week. And most of the time it's just going to be something where we're just always making sure what we can do.
Okay. So I understand that your capstone involved a training component. Could you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So in the Special Victims Division, we have 6 different units, and it's everything from crimes against children to human trafficking to sexual assault. And one of the things that we really need to do is be able to equip our young prosecutors who are entering that division with the training they need to do that highly specialized work so that we can really achieve justice for victims in Fulton County. And so what we really focused on is one of the things that I so loved from the training that we got was, as you're thinking about these big projects for your team, you want to get feedback from your stakeholders. So I actually reached out to my entire team of 65 people and said, I need each of you to respond to me and let me know what is some training that you would really like, that you feel would better equip you for your work. And I loved the responses I got, and I think that so emphasized the thoughtfulness of CPM because I was able to get feedback that I would not have thought of. And so ultimately what we did is I created a curriculum that's even going to start with an initial orientation and then has at least about 15 different modules. And so what we're even doing is we're bringing in our graphics department in the DA's office to record those so that when we have a new person on board, we already have that curriculum ready to go, and that's sustainable.
Wow, that's so exciting, and it's also exciting to hear you both talk about that. I could sit here and talk about CPM all day long because it is such a great program, and I know that you all are preparing for your graduation on May 14th, and then we will all be alums of the University of Georgia. So I am just ready for to see that because I'm so excited for you guys. Again, congratulations to you on going through the program and being successful with that and your graduation. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for having us. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And so just a reminder to everyone that the CPM graduation will be on Thursday, May 14th. Again, as Mr. Herman mentioned, if you are a member of hashtag Team Fulton and you would like to go through the program or you're interested in learning more, just be sure to check it out with your director because the application process will open soon. It is a 9-month program, 300 hours, once a month, but it is a great opportunity to grow and to grow as a leader. Again, thank you for joining us on Experience Fulton, the podcast.